Hey guys, today we're starting somewhere spicy, literally. You're lying flat on your back in a patch of sun-baked grass, the air thick with the aroma of roasted cornstone dust, and is that lime zest? Above you a sky so blue, it looks like someone spilled cobalt ink across a scroll. Beneath you, a woven mat lined with banana leaves and tucked under your elbow. Yes, you're holding a taco. But not just any taco. This one is wrapped in bark paper tied with red thread, and if your dreams are to be trusted, it contains the blueprints to an ancient pyramid. Because of course it does. You sit up slowly. Around you rise the early bones of a city tall limestone columns, just beginning to emerge from the earth like teeth. Birds caw from palm fronds. Somewhere in the distance, you hear drums or thunder. Maybe both. And just as you're starting to piece together, whether you're dreaming time traveling or hallucinating from too much salsa, you spot it carved into the rock beside you, a small inscription that reads, Tung Tung Sahur architect, dreamer, master of the sacred taco. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Also, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. I love seeing bedtime traditions from around the world. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You rise slowly, dusting crumbs from your tunic. You're barefoot, wooden even. And when you walk, your joints creak in a polite but audible tunk-tunk, an echo that earns your name, Tung Tung Sahur. A legend not yet written. The jungle ahead is warm and damp, and you trudge through it like a taco delivery man who forgot which century he belongs to. Your taco scroll glows faintly in the shade, as if urging you towards something important, something majestic. Soon the foliage parts, revealing the heart of a rising city. Workers move in rhythmic choreography, stacking stones, painting murals, planting gardens. But the center of it all, the real focus, is an enormous unfinished platform made of massive stone blocks, rising in slow steps toward the sky. You squint. It's not just a platform, it's the beginnings of a pyramid. And on the far edge of the construction site, seated atop a throne carved from green jade and inlaid with feathers, sits a man who clearly hasn't blinked since the last equinox. His headdress towers like a personal rainforest. His robe is dyed with crushed insects and studded with tiny shimmering shells. His name, King Chichen Itza, known more casually to his advisors as the one who once ate an entire chili pepper without blinking. You approach cautiously, your taco scroll, now pulsing with warmth. He lifts a hand. You stop. The king studies you, tilts his head, squints like someone trying to remember whether you were part of a dream or a tax policy. Then he speaks not with grand proclamations, but in a perfectly measured tone, like someone reading a recipe backwards. I had a vision, he says, of a wooden man who builds with flavor. That would be you. He gestures toward the incomplete pyramid, then toward a nearby table lined with ceramic bowls of spices, kernels, crushed cacao, and herbs. Finally, he taps his own chest. The gods are hungry, he murmurs. And Chichen Itza must rise. With purpose, with rhythm, with tacos. You blink. Once, twice. Did he say rhythm? Yes, he did. Because here in this strange fork in history, architecture isn't measured in cubits or feet. It's measured in beats. And you're about to remix the blueprint of Mesoamerican wonder using the only tools that matter, masa obsidian and confidence you absolutely haven't earned. Historians still argue whether the city's name, Chichen Itza, truly means mouth of the well of the Itza, or whether that's just the best guess based on old glyphs and poetic license. But one fringe theory published briefly in a banned codex suggests the name was whispered by a visitor who arrived with a sacred tortilla in one hand and a design for immortality in the other. That visitor naturally would be you. So you step closer to the king. You unroll your taco scroll across the stone slab before him. The meat falls out in slow motion, and because this is still mostly a dream, it forms the outline of a stepped pyramid surrounded by star patterns and maze symbols. The king inhales deeply, eyes wide. "You've brought the sacred lunch," he whispers. Then he claps his hands. The drummers begin to play, and your real work starts now. The king rises, slowly, like a mountain deciding to stretch. His headdress shifts slightly, and with it, several hummingbirds flutter away, whether real or decorative, you can't quite tell. He steps forward and places a ceremonial hand on your shoulder, which is impressive considering your shoulder is solid wood. "You'll begin today," he says, at lunch, and that's how you find yourself seated at a long carved stone table surrounded by court scribes, feathered chefs, astronomer priests, and one suspiciously polite parrot. Before you sits a platter of ingredients: hand-ground masa, smoked venison, crushed chocolate nibs, hibiscus petals, and an herb that smells faintly of forgotten secrets. They're not here to eat, they're here to build. Because in the kingdom of Itza, lunch isn't just nourishment, it's blueprint. Every taco you prepare tells a story, and today the story must explain how a pyramid will rise, not with brute labor, but with harmony, geometry, and a little chili oil. You reach for the masa and begin to shape the first corn disc. Each press of your palm is deliberate, rhythmic. Tap, 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 tap. A pattern emerges in the dough, concentric spirals and notches like steps. The tortilla is geometry, the fillings, astronomy, the garnish, pure metaphor. You fold it shut, set it on a hot stone, and turn to the gathered crowd. This, you say in your best sacred taco voice, is the East Stairway. The astronomer priests nod. They huddle, they murmur. One of them sketches a copy of the taco's folds onto a banana leaf. Another bites into a ceremonial tortilla just to be sure. He falls briefly into a trance. This is going well. The Mayans were among the world's most precise astronomers. Their pyramid at Chichen Itza, historians widely agree, was designed with exact celestial alignments in mind. Each face represents a cardinal direction. Each step corresponds to a solar phase. But what's rarely mentioned is the whisper of a theory scribbled in the margins of a 19th century explorer's journal. That the pyramid's angles were based not just on stars, but on recipes, specifically taco folding ratios. You present your second taco. This one is slimmer, stacked with grilled cactus and wildflowers. The triangle formed when it collapses just so onto the platter mirrors the golden ratio. The western stairwell, you explain, needs balance, crunch and softness, geometry and grace. The king is visibly moved. A single tear rolls down his cheek. The parrot applauds. And just like that, you're declared the royal food architect of the Itza people. Your duties are vast. Each morning you must prepare a dish to communicate structural updates. You serve a bean and chili tostada to mark a shift in stairway gradient. A mango pork empanada signifies that the central platform must rise by precisely 1 elbow's height. Engineers consult your lunches. Surveyors study your spice dust patterns. Occasionally, a curious child licks your blue corn tortilla to decode load-bearing details. Every evening, the construction crew gathers beneath the stars, eating their way through your scroll of culinary schematics. They hum between bites. And slowly, stone by stone, spice by spice, the pyramid takes shape. You even hold a tasting symposium with the local jaguar shaman. He eats a smoked turkey taco laced with bitter orange and nods gravely. "This will align the ball court," he says. The ball court, by the way, is no ordinary sports arena. It's vast. Tall stone walls on either side, hoop-like stone rings high above. Players use only hips, knees, and dreams to move a heavy rubber ball. Games are both sacred ritual and state-sponsored athleticism. And now, with your help, they're also catered. One evening, as the pyramid base reaches its 12th course of stone, a loud argument erupts between two architect priests over whether the shadow of the equinox serpent should begin at the 4th or 5th step. You interrupt with a tamarind chili wrap shaped like a snake mid-twist. They fall silent, then bow. From this moment forward, all mathematical disputes must be resolved through seasonal salsa presentation. Of course, not everything runs smoothly. At one point, a delivery of obsidian tools goes missing. The chefs blame the astronomers. The astronomers blame the parrot. You step in with a sweet potato taco folded into a perfect octagon, and the dispute dissolves instantly. You're not just a builder now. You're a diplomat, a philosopher, a tortilla-born visionary. And yet, there's something odd. One morning you wake before dawn. The air is quiet. The pyramid looms large, its sides glinting faintly under the waning moon. You walk toward it, taco scroll in hand, and as you reach the base, you hear it. A faint hum, not music, not wind, a resonance. You press your wooden palm to the stone, and the vibration travels through your wrist, up your shoulder, into your jaw. It's the rhythm. Tap, 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 tap. It's not coming from you anymore. It's coming from the pyramid itself. Historians still argue whether the echo effects at Chichen Itza were intentionally engineered or a happy accident. When you clap near the base of the steps, the sound bounces back in a rhythm said to resemble the chirp of the sacred Quetzal bird. But some believe the sound wasn't meant to mimic birdsong. Some believe it was meant to mimic memory. You step back. The pyramid responds with a soft echo. The king appears beside you, robes rustling like slow fire. "You fed the stone well," he murmurs. You glance at your taco scroll. A new glyph has appeared on the parchment, a spiral around a staircase surrounded by small triangles. It doesn't translate to anything you know, but somehow it means one thing. You're almost done. You wake with masa dust on your cheek and a half-eaten squash blossom taco cradled in your lap. Somewhere nearby, monkeys argue over who gets the last banana. The pyramid now casts a long definitive shadow across the jungle clearing, and your joints creak pleasantly as you stand. Today is the day the capstone goes up, or as the Mayan masons like to call it, el momento crujiente, the crispy moment. Not because the stone is crispy, you hope, but because this is the final step before the entire structure is sealed, blessed and bound to the heavens. And apparently, this is to be done over lunch. Of course it is. You're ushered to the pyramid summit by a group of dancers wearing feathered cloaks and carrying bowls of pickled onions. They dance sideways an ancient rhythm that suggests both progress and caution. You follow their steps exactly because if there's one thing you've learned here, it's that style is part of the blueprint. At the summit, the king awaits perched on a slab of polished limestone that now serves as his picnic throne. He gestures to the flat capstone, wide, solid, slightly concave. The chefs have already prepared an offering, taco fillings arranged into sacred constellations. You recognize the Pleiades. Also, a fairly detailed depiction of a jaguar flossing. "Will it hold the king?" asks you voice low. You reach into your satchel and pull out your final blueprint, a tortilla folded into a 6-point star. Each corner is pressed with cinnamon. Each fold aligns with a directional axis. You nod. It will more than hold, you say. It will remember. Because here's the thing. This pyramid isn't just a temple or a stage or a cosmic calendar. It's a recipe. One that's been cooking for generations. You just added seasoning. The capstone is lifted into place with ropes pulleys and a particularly muscular iguana who appears to be unionized. Once it lands, silence falls. And not the usual jungle silence either. This is deeper. It's that weird dreamlike hush you get when the story isn't over but something fundamental has shifted. Like the first breath after a sneeze, or the moment right before thunder. You step forward and place your tortilla blueprint directly on the stone. The wind changes, a shadow forms on the staircase, and from within the pyramid, the rhythm echoes up again. Tap, 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 tap. Only this time it's answered. Not from the jungle, not from the city, from the sky. You tilt your head and notice that the sky is aligning. A soft shimmer runs across the clouds, and a strange golden glint settles just behind the sun. You recognize the pattern. You've folded it before. The taco spiral. And suddenly it makes sense. The pyramid was never just built for the gods. It was built for something coming back. The astronomer priests begin chanting softly. One holds up a tamale shaped like a compass. Another uncorks a bottle of fermented cacao and draws star paths in the air. The king nods toward you. It is time, he says. You step to the edge of the summit arms, open taco scroll fluttering in your hand. The wind lifts, the sun dims, and high above the golden shimmer begins to spiral slow, deliberate like oil spreading in water. This is the moment of convergence. This is the taco eclipse. Historians widely agree that the temple of Kukulkan at Chichen Itza was used for ritual observations of equinoxes and solar patterns. On certain days, the shadows formed by its edges create the image of a serpent descending the staircase, a visual alignment that continues to amaze tourists, mystics, and lizards alike. But some fringe researchers, mainly operating out of taco trucks and obscure zines, insist that the serpent wasn't descending, it was landing. And what lands during the taco eclipse? A portal. With a shimmer, the pyramid summit splits just slightly. The tortilla blueprint hovers, then curls, then floats downward like a falling feather into the opening. The king stands. All of this, he whispers, was seasoning. You're not sure what that means, but you trust him. You step onto the capstone. The rhythm thuds beneath your feet like a distant drumline on a memory you haven't had yet. One by one, the feathers from the dancers' cloaks lift into the air, rising skyward. And then, with a blink, you're standing not on stone, but on a spiral stairway of light. It stretches downward and upward at the same time. Every step is made of woven maize and stars. You look back, the king is smiling. He holds up a taco. You salute him with a bow and begin your descent. Or is it ascent? It's hard to tell when the gravity is musical and time smells faintly of lime. You follow the rhythm step by step. It guides you gently, almost like a lullaby. Tap, po, tap, tap, tap. Each step pulses. Each moment blurs. And then you land, not with a thump, not with a spin, but with a soft crinkle, like a warm tortilla folded neatly in a napkin. You're in a chamber, round, dim, lit by slow fireflies drifting through the air like lazy sparks. In the center, a low table. On it, your taco scroll, glowing faintly, smelling faintly of cinnamon and roasted dreams. There's a single message now etched in the parchment. Thank you for feeding the stone. Rest now. The pyramid remembers. You place the scroll back on the table, turn, and walk through the final arch. The arch doesn't open into another jungle or pyramid summit or cosmic taco court. It opens into a kitchen. Not just any kitchen, though. This one is suspiciously spotless. The stone counters gleam like they've just been licked by light. Clay pots simmer without fire. Steam curls in the shape of spirals. The shelves are stocked with herbs that haven't existed in centuries. The smell is comforting, warm bread, charred corn husks, maybe even a hint of cacao still humming from the walls. And standing there at the stove is you, well, another you, wearing a long apron woven from agave fibers and embroidered with tiny quetzal birds. Your twin, Tung Tung Sahur V2, turns to greet you with a knowing nod. No words, just the soft echo of wooden footsteps on a tiled floor and the rhythmic clatter of a spoon tapping a stone bowl. Tap, 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 tap. The rhythm again, always the rhythm. But this time it's gentle, familiar, no longer mysterious or guiding. It's yours. It's memory. You join your mirrored self at the table and begin to cook. Together, wordless, unified. As if you've done this before, maybe last week, maybe last lifetime. There's peace in the repetition, a tortilla pressed into a perfect disc, a squash blossom tucked beside a sliver of grilled turkey, a dash of annatto to make the flavors sing quietly. One of you folds, the other garnishes. You are co-chefs in a kitchen that exists outside of time, and the meal you prepare, not for kings, not for gods, for guests, because one by one they arrive, from the long shadow of the archway step, the figures who've accompanied your journey. The prince in his moon-stitched robes, the monk who never spoke, the scroll girl now smiling with both eyes, even the parrot still wearing his honorary jade earring. They take seats around the circular table, hands resting in their laps, eyes wide and warm. No one speaks. They don't need to, because this isn't a celebration of conquest or glory. This is a remembering. Each plate set down is a chapter, each bite a beat. The food tells the story. You hand the prince a tamale, and he smiles not in memory, but in gratitude. The monk closes his eyes as he sips a broth so clear it reflects the constellations. The scroll girl breaks her tortilla in half and gives you one piece. Even the parrot murmurs a low, appreciative tung-tung under his breath. You've built something beyond structure. You've built a pattern, something the soul can walk like a trail of breadcrumbs, carved in mesa and myth. And just when the table feels like it might dissolve into golden dust, when your heart is so full, you could burst into wood shavings of joy the kitchen darkens. Not ominously, just with purpose. The meal is done. One by one, your guests stand and bow. One by one, they walk back into the arch. And finally, your twin self. Your culinary mirror nods once, then steps into the shadows too, leaving you alone, except you're not. The kitchen walls pulse once more, then shift. You're back in the jungle clearing. The pyramid complete, the king gone, the city quiet. But something is still moving beneath the earth. You kneel, place your wooden hand to the ground, and you feel it. The heartbeat of Chichen Itza, the pulse of every taco ever folded in memory, the echo of every footstep carved in sacred rhythm. It's alive, not metaphorically, not mythologically. Actually, you built something living, something rhythmic, something waiting. Historians rarely talk about it, but many believe ancient Mesoamerican sites were more than ceremonial centers. They were rhythmic maps, acoustic engines designed to amplify certain frequencies, to help memory travel, to make stories walkable. And if that's true, then what you've made here isn't just a monument. It's a pathway, back to the story, forward through the dream. A soft breeze swirls through the clearing. Your taco scroll tucked at your belt flutters once and dissolves. It has been absorbed. The pyramid knows the recipe now. You stand, take one final look at the stairways, and turn toward the jungle. As you walk, the sound of leaves brushing your wooden legs, the soil tamping beneath your feet, the hum of distant birds all seem to form a soft chorus. Tap, 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 tap. Not a command, not a warning, just a reminder that everything beautiful we build, whether temple or tortilla, comes from rhythm, from care, from hands that fold stories into silence and serve them warm. You keep walking, but this time not through jungle or time or dream, through yourself. Because now with each step you take away from the pyramid, Sahur isn't behind you, it's within you. Not a place, not even a memory. More like a hum that settles behind your ribs, like a kitchen light left on long after the guests have gone. The trees begin to thin, the light softens, and ahead of you, just past a patch of marigolds blooming out of season, stands a small round structure you somehow knew you'd return to. Clay walls, a woven roof, the kind of hut you'd draw with your eyes closed. Your hut, inside, everything waits exactly where it should. The bowl of salt from your first batch of tacos, the obsidian spoon, the cord of dried chili peppers strung like ceremonial beads. A small fire flickers in a corner hearth, though you don't remember lighting it. And in the middle of the room, a drum. Not massive, not mystical, just a drum. Low, round. The kind played in kitchens, not palaces. And resting on it, a folded cloth bundle. You step closer, unwrap it, and there it is. Your stick. Smooth, warm, familiar. A little shinier than before. a little more settled, like it's accepted what it is, who it belongs to, what it's for. You tap it once on the rim of the drum. Tap. The hut hums softly. You tap it again. Tap, tap. A pot on the shelf rattles gently. You pause, then finish the phrase. Tap. The wind outside stops, and for one breath, all is still. Then soft laughter. Faint, feminine, familiar, like the echo of the scroll girl's grin, or maybe your own. You sit down cross-legged, the stick resting across your lap. The fire crackles. Outside, the trees lean in, not threatening, just curious, like they're waiting for a bedtime story. And you begin to hum. Not loud, not even melodic, just a quiet rhythm in the back of your throat. The kind you'd rock a baby to sleep with. The kind that reminds stone to stay strong and tortillas to stay warm. The beat answers you from beneath the floor, from behind the fire, from the stars above blinking in rhythm through the roof slats. This is no longer a story about building, or dreaming, or even remembering. It's a story about staying soft, staying strange, staying rhythmic. You curl your wooden fingers around the stick one last time. You don't need it anymore, but it likes being held. And just before you close your eyes, you hear a whisper so close, it might be your own breath. You're the recipe now, and now let it go. Let the drum slow. Let the pyramid settle back into moonlight. Let the tacos stay folded, their stories steaming gently in the dark. There's nothing more to carry tonight. No more messages wrapped in maize. No more staircases that whisper. Just the soft echo of what was built and the rhythm that lingers like spice on the tongue. You're not walking anymore. You're not cooking. You're not remembering. You're resting. Feel the warmth in your hands. The silence wrapped around your spine like a blanket someone embroidered just for you. Let the shadows grow soft at the edges. Let the beat become breath. Let Sahurn hum in the background like a lullaby you forgot you knew. You did good work. You fed the stone. You told the story. And now even the rhythm agrees it's time to sleep. So settle in. Let the night stretch long. Oh, and if tomorrow your feet start to tap again, don't worry. It's just the dream calling. And the dream remembers you. The end. Sweet dreams.